Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. This is Eisenherz, and because of the recent printing of Valley Flood Color, which is yet another card that allows you to cast spells at instant speed, I thought it would be a good idea to discuss the importance of instant speed winning in cEDH. Just a few years ago the meta was defined by the so-called Flash Hulk decks, which allow you to win the game at instant speed and with a single 2-mana spell, Flash. Not only that, but with the right setup and or pre-game actions like Leyline of Abundance and Emergence Zone, winning on top of an opponent's win attempt was basically the norm, which constantly led to Mexican standoff kind of situations. Because Flash was so cheap and also hidden information, anytime a player had just 2 mana open, they would be considered as ready to threaten a win at any point. This in fact proved to be so strong, or let's rather say broken, that the rules committee had to ban Flash so that the cEDH meta could diversify again, which it eventually did. After the Flash ban, cards like Emergence Zone and Leyline of Abundance saw little play, because they were either too costly or weird to slot in multicolored decks. Of course, there were always more cards that enabled instant speed wins, such as Shimmermere, which is a core piece in Shimmerzur decks, Teferi Time Raveler, which sees a lot of play but is rarely used for instant speed wins, Vedalken Orrery, which sees almost no play because of its high mana cost, or Prophet of Kruphix, which is an absolutely broken card and therefore banned. Prophet of Kruphix is also the perfect example to understand more profoundly why instant speed winning is so broken and important in today's meta. So let's look at the basics of turn structure and priority. A regular turn in cEDH consists of these steps and phases: untap, upkeep, draw, main phase 1, combat, main phase 2, end step and cleanup. Within a turn cycle, these phases occur 4 total times, yet you only have 2 small windows to present wins. This is okay if that's also true for all of your opponents, but in cEDH that's just not the case. Even after the banning of Flash and the printing of today's top-played Flash enablers, there were plenty of decks that, with the right setup, could consistently perform wins at instant speed and at any point of the turn. Common examples for that are Tayam and Korvold. So while you are only able to use these windows to present a win, your opponents are able to use these windows to present a win. With the printing of Born Upon a Wind and more recently Valley Flood Color, the cEDH meta has now definitively shifted so that most, if not all decks are able to straight up win at instant speed. And this is not limited to Turbo Norse or Necro decks. And I'm also not talking about creating an unbeatable board state or anything similar. I'm talking about literally winning so that they can, for example, claim victory in an opponent's turn after time has already been called, or with another person's win attempt on the stack. So if your deck is not able to do that, if you can't set up a win on the board or in your hand and fire it at any point of the game, you are quite literally putting yourself in a disadvantaged position. And don't get me wrong here, it's not that you have to always win at instant speed, it's the fact that you could win at instant speed that's important. Why is that? Well, if anyone could potentially present a win at any point of the game, you are more or less constantly in a kind of Mexican standoff situation, where everyone is a threat at any point, and the first person to make a wrong move might lose. This also means that the stack becomes even more relevant, and interaction has to be viewed way differently. Let me give you guys a quick example. Player 1 has a winning line assembled in their hand, with a few counterspells as protection. Instead of presenting a win and trying to protect it with the counter magic, they decide to postpone the attempt because they could run into too much interaction, or another player could try to win on top of their win attempt. So instead of pushing for the win now, player 1 casts a tutor to grab Born Upon a Wind and passes their turn. Player 1 is now in a position where they can win at any point of the game and just wait for the perfect moment. Now player 2 untaps, fearing that they might not see another turn and unable to win at instant speed, player 2 tries to go for the win. They cast Underworld Breach and protect it against multiple counterspells from player 3, 4 and 1. As the stack clears back up, the only thing remaining on it is Underworld Breach. Now, player 1 casts Born Upon a Wind and presents whatever winning line they have in hand, without anyone being able to interact anymore. So what player 1 did here is A. Wait until someone else draws out all the interaction, B. Use their Flash enabler as a sort of interaction piece, and C. Ultimately sneak in a win at a time they usually could not have. This is so powerful because in a game where you are often at a 3-to-1 card disadvantage, being the last person to spend their resources and being the person to have more windows for impactful plays is of immense value. With enough resources available, you essentially don't have one turn, you have 4. you are just sharing them with your opponents. You can even top these plays by using not just counterspells but silence effects like Silence, Orm's Chant, or even Ranger Captain of Eos to stop someone else from winning, and while your opponents are silenced, you can just present a win at instant speed. And these kinds of plays are also the reason why you can't just blindly let a silence effect resolve from player X and player Y's turn, even in response to a win attempt, because everyone could potentially win at any point, so player X could just win in player Y's turn after the silence resolved. So, if the potential to win at instant speed makes your deck so much better, why do we not play all the flash enablers? Well, to put it simply, it's because most of them just suck. Most of them can only be cast at sorcery speed, meaning that your potential to threaten a win at instant speed becomes way more obvious. Also, most of them are either too narrow, like Shimmermere, or too expensive, like Vidalcan Orrery. In today's meta, the top contenders for these kinds of effects are undoubtedly Born Upon a Wind and Valet Floodcaller, because they can be cast at instant speed themselves, meaning you can lay low, wait for the right moment, and fire a win when the perfect time arises, just as you could with Flash in the Flash Hulk meta. On that note, I also want to mention Final Fortune, which essentially works pretty similar to Flash Enablers. While not identical to Flash Enablers in how it is used, these cards share the trait of taking opponents by surprise and giving you additional windows to present wins. In this case, by simply sneaking in an extra turn. So if you are not playing at least one of these instant speed Flash Enablers in your deck, or have other means of winning at instant speed, you are putting yourself at a disadvantage, and your deck is most likely not up to the standard of today's cEDH meta. Play instant speed Flash Enablers to open up more windows for yourself, to play around interaction, and to threaten wins on the stack. Just remember kids, if you can't win at instant speed, your deck is probably shit. And that's it. Do you agree or disagree with my position on instant speed wins? Let me know your take in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching my videos, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. This is Eisenherz and auf Wiedersehen.